Reading through the Bible, Genesis 35, Jacob returns to Bethel. Then God said to Jacob, "Go up to Bethel and settle there, and build an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, "Get rid of the foreign gods you have with you, and purify yourselves, and change your clothes. Then come, let us go to Bethel, where I will build an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and has been with me wherever I have gone." So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had, and the rings in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the oak at Shechem. Then they set out, and the terror of God fell upon the towns all around them, so that no one pursued them. Jacob and all the people with him came to Luz, that is, Bethel, in the land of Canaan. There he built an altar, and he called the place El Bethel, because it was there that God revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak below Bethel. So it was named Alon Bekuth. After Jacob returned from Paddan Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel." So he named him Israel. And God said to him, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase in number. A nation and community of nations will come from you, and kings will come from your body. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you." Then God went up from him at the place where he had talked with him. Jacob set up a stone pillar at the place where God had talked with him, and he poured out a drink offering on it. He also poured oil on it. Jacob named the place where God had talked with him Bethel. Then they moved on from Bethel. While they were still some distance from Ephrath, Rachel began to give birth and had great difficulty. And as she was having great difficulty in childbirth, the midwife said to her, "Don't be afraid, for you have another son." As she breathed her last, for she was dying, she named her son Ben-Oni, but his father named him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is, Bethlehem. Over her tomb, Jacob set up a pillar, and to this day that pillar marks Rachel's tomb. Israel moved on again and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. While Israel was living in that region, Reuben went in and slept with his father's concubine Bilhah, and Israel heard of it. Jacob had 12 sons, the sons of Leah, Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun, the sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin, the sons of Rachel's maidservant Bilhah, Dan, and Naphtali, the sons of Leah's maidservant Zilpah, Gad, and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Paddan Aram. Jacob came home to his father Isaac in Mamre near Kiryat Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had stayed. Isaac lived 180 years. Then he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, old and full of years. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Now there are several events in this reading that are important. One is that God reveals himself now to Jacob and promises him that he will receive the land that was promised to Abraham and Isaac. And we also see that they went on, and Rachel gave birth to Benjamin and names him Ben-Oni, son of my sorrow, and his father changed his name to Benjamin, which is son of my right hand. So he doesn't want that name that Rachel had given him. And then it says that they buried Rachel on the way to Ephrath, Bethlehem. Now they are still north of the city of Jerusalem. And even though it mentions that Ephrath and Bethlehem are in the same category, she is not buried where there is a monument to her at the present time. She was much farther north than that. And so when you go to Israel and you see Rachel's tomb, that's not where she was buried. And then it says that they went on to Migdal Eder, and there Reuben had relations with Bilhah. This then removes him from leadership. He is the firstborn son, and so he should have been the main inheritor of Jacob. But he is removed because of this. And then when they came home, it says that it was near Hebron in Kiriath Arba, and that Isaac lived 180 years. Now you remember that in the story we read of Jacob and Esau, that Esau was 40 years old when he married the Canaanite women. Jacob had not had any wife before this time, so Jacob would have been 40 because he is a twin of Esau. So he goes to Paddan Aram, and he is there for 20 years, and so that would make him at least 60 years old when he comes home. Before he went, Isaac said that he didn't know when he was going to die, and that's why he wanted to bless Esau. His eyes were not so good at that time. So he lives here for 180 years. So it looks like he probably lived for 80 years after these events happened. And then he dies. And then his two sons, Esau and Jacob, bury him in the field of Machpelah that Abraham purchased from the Hittites. Yes, I should mention that when Jacob asked them to remove all of the gods from their midst and they would bury them, that they also took off the earrings that they were wearing. We aren't told why the earrings were connected with false gods, but it seems that there is some connection with them, and so the earrings are removed and they too are buried.